We are the Guinea Pig Collective. All will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
And we're here. Oh, that little delay messed everybody up. I know it got Brahma pretty good. What's going on, Brahma? And welcome to Going Old School.
How's it going? I'm doing good. Just got done with work. Figured I'd jump on a stream and have some fun talking about, I guess, The Crow.
Yeah, man. The Crow is such a wonderful movie. And seeing recently that they're planning on rebooting this, oh my God. I really don't want to get started this early about why I hate that idea. So we're just going to start off by saying hello to everybody that's already popped into the chat. Keely Chow, what is going on? Welcome, Keely. I see Brahma's in the chat as well. I'm Not Creative 22. What's going on, buddy? Welcome. Good to see you. Nelson the Gentleman. What is up, buddy? How are you doing? Godzillionaire is in the house. What did you say? Walton bags a sapling. Does that make him a treatophile? He's much worse than that. He's a dendrophile. Somebody who loves trees. Lasso Truth. How are you doing? Shadowhawk Backs. What's up? Real quick, since we have Nelson the Gentleman in the chat, I want to talk about something that he recently sent to me. Now, the Guinea Pig Collective loves to get surprises, and we were quite surprised to see this one sent to us. I appreciate this, buddy. You didn't have to do it, but he sent us a nice little guinea pig statuette.
Cool.
I do appreciate that. We will be doing eventually a reaction from the pigs themselves and see what they think of it, because the pigs' reactions are always hysterical. I was doing one where I was showing off some of the new G.I. Joe figures that they had out, and Rorschach's reaction to having to share the stage with a box of toys was absolutely hysterical. He started pushing the box around, like, get this off my stage. This is my platform. It doesn't belong up here.
Not a fan, huh?
No, he's hilarious, though. I love these little guys. What's going on, Solar Warden? Pale Rider. And Nelson the Gentleman says, I love the first Crow movie. Would you ever do a stream about the British show Red Dwarf? I've heard about that one. I've never watched it myself, so it's not something that I would feel comfortable talking about. Now, if somebody else would want to come up here and talk about that show, I would have no problem whatsoever letting them go ahead and run that one. You know, I've had Jens and I've had other people come up here and talk about the shows that they love and that they know about, and I have no problem with that. What's going on, Zach? And if that does not work, ask Spider-Man put some web on it and hopefully it will hold. Oh, what did I miss? Iron Man smashed. Okay.
I like button. Yeah.
Yeah, they like to play games like that. What's going on, Gap? Stargate. Welcome, everybody. Remember, go ahead and share the link out there. Let people know that we are live, because YouTube likes to suppress guinea pigs. So we are just going to go ahead and we're going to start getting into this, man. The Crow. Love this movie. Did you see this one in the theater, or did you have to wait until it came out on video?
I actually didn't see it in the theater. I saw it a few years later. It came out in what, 94, so I was in what, 5th or 6th grade. So I wasn't quite the target audience at that time. I think I saw it a few years later.
Yeah, was it, or was it 95? No, it was 94.
Yeah,
Yeah,
94 rated R, so yeah. Just wasn't one that was on my radar at the time, but I ended up dressing as the Crow for Halloween for many, many years after that. So
I think everybody did for a while. It's such an easy outfit to actually pull off: black pants, black
yep.
shirt, and just paint your face white with some black streaks.
Well, and it worked great because after Sting started doing his thing, the Crow makeup, and being into wrestling at the time, you just transitioned the Crow costume into the Sting costume, and it worked fantastic.
Then they even sold a whole bunch of stuff there at WCW because remember they had the little masks with the Crow
Yeah.
look to them. So
Yep.
yeah, it spawned a whole bunch of things. So for everybody who wants to get into the feels, I have prepared a movie clip, giving a little brief rundown about the movie, what the budget was, and all the other good stuff. And here we go.
Today's topic is on the 1994 movie based on the James O'Barr comic book series, The Crow.
Why don't you tell me a story?
Starring Brandon Lee as Eric Draven, Rochelle Davis as Sarah, Ernie Hudson as Officer Albrecht, Michael Wincroft as Top Dollar, Bei Ling as Micah, Sophia Sheenis as Shelley, Anna Thompson as Darla, David Patrick Kelly as T-Bird, Angel David as Skank, Lawrence Mason as Tintin, and Michael Macy as Funboy. The plot on this one is very straightforward. A man brutally murdered comes back to life 1 year later as an undead avenger of his and his fiance's murder.
You killed them. On Halloween? Yeah, okay. Halloween, yeah. Some dude, some bitch, whatever, man.
Bestowed with the powers of increased strength and the ability to heal from any damage. This avenging angel will not stop until all have been punished.
Victims. Aren't we all?
This movie saw 5 wins and 7 nominations at the awards, if you're interested in that sort of thing.
Jesus Christ.
This movie had a budget estimate of $23 million, a gross US and Canada take of $50 million, and an opening weekend of $11,774,332 in the US and Canada.
But you ain't you. You can't be you. We put you through the window. There ain't no coming back. This is the really real world. There ain't no coming back.
And while this movie did not do exceptionally well at the theaters, it definitely made up for it in the home video release section.
Jesus Christ. Stop me if you heard this one. Jesus Christ walks into a hotel. He hands the innkeeper 3 nails and he asks, "Can you put me up for the night?" Guess it's not a good day to be a bad guy, huh, Skank?
What, Skank? There's Skank right there. Skank's dead.
That's right.
Can't rain all the time.
Eric?
So if that doesn't get everybody into the feels for this one, I don't know what will.
It's like the quintessential 90s. I mean, everything about it screams 90s. The soundtrack, the lighting, the story, all of it. It was
soundtrack. Oh
yeah.
Now, if you had to pick any one song from that soundtrack, what would stand out the most to you?
I'd have to remember exactly what was on it. There was a Nine Inch Nails song on there that stood out, if I remember right.
Yes. Yeah, that was definitely one of them. What's going on, Jens?
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, a bit
Yes.
late on that one. Yeah. Paul.
How you doing?
Yeah, man. Yeah, you got a bit late. Had a bit of trouble with the computer, sort of thing.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Big Empty by Stone Temple Pilots was on that one too, and I loved that one.
Okay. Yeah, there were so many good songs on this soundtrack. I mean, there were so few soundtracks that actually hit it out of the park like this one. One of the other ones that I could think about is Freddy versus Jason. That was another amazing soundtrack. Judgment Night. Wait a minute, not Judgment Night. God, what was that called?
Fright Night.
No. Oh God, I keep thinking Judgment Night because that's the one of the top songs on the album, and I don't think that's the name of the movie. Had Ice-T in it.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. I know I actually have that CD sitting somewhere.
No, there is a movie called Judgment Night, 1993,
Okay.
with Emilio Estevez, Jeremy Piven, and Cuba Gooding Jr. Not that one?
I'm not sure offhand now. That might be it. God.
The best movie you never saw. Four young friends take a shortcut en route to a local boxing match, witness a brutal murder, and it leaves them running for their lives.
Now I'm blanking on it. I think that is it. I had to think about it for a while. Yeah, that's definitely it.
Had Dennis Leary in it too.
Yeah, that was a good movie, and it had an awesome soundtrack. They actually did a lot of stuff where they were actually mixing rap bands and rock bands together. So you got some really cool collaborations like Ice-T and Slayer. I mean, there was a lot of cool stuff on that album. But, talking about The Crow, there were so many good songs on this album, and there were so many takeaways from the dialogue, too. So many things that everybody can remember, like it can't rain all the time. I mean, how many times have you heard that one over and over again because of this movie?
Yep, there was definitely some quotables in there. Can't rain all the time. The Jesus and the hotel room joke. Yeah, and the movie, I mean, it was just one of those that if you were into that scene, everybody saw it. Everybody knew what you were talking about when you were bringing up lines from the movie or just talking about anything that was happening in the movie.
Yeah, there you go, Nelson. Victims, aren't we all? Solar Warden said, yeah, he rented it when it hit VHS. I know a lot of people did. It didn't do that well in the theaters. I was actually shocked at how poorly it did in the theaters for the way that this one is held in such high regards.
Yeah, well, I mean, the comic book movie thing wasn't all that big at that point. And, I mean, Lee was basically an unknown at that point.
Yeah, I think he only did, one or two movies before that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because he was excellent in this. It would have been very interesting to see where he could have gone after this.
No, Soul Assassin, what's up? I was wee lad when The Crow came out, but remember my old sister watching it a lot. Dope film.
It seemed like it was on either Cinemax or HBO or Showtime, one of those. For years.
Yeah. Well, you remember early on, I don't know. No, maybe you should. Early on, when all these things would first come out, a lot of times the local channels would get them, but they would tend not to get them till a year later. So when cable hit, that's when you start seeing these movies a lot sooner. Of course, there was actually a period of time that it was only available, say, at the Blockbusters, the Hollywood Videos, your local, video renting stores. But eventually, they were coming straight to HBO and Cinemax and what's the other one? The other big one at the time?
Showtime. Yep. Well, and the funny thing about it, though, is it just seemed to be always on one of those stations. I mean, you could catch it anytime after like 10 p.m. at night. It'd be on repeat over and over and over. So
there was a lot of good movies I caught late at night on the free channels. Like that was the first time I'd actually ever seen heavy metal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like late at night. Like if my dad used to work midnights, so I'd come down and sneak down and watch the TV late at night when I wasn't supposed to be, and that's when they had all the R and almost X-rated type movies on that late. So you could catch a lot of stuff on the regular TV till they really started regulating it. They got away with a lot of shit late at night. What's going on, Chaos Hoy and Decepticons Cave of Villains? What up? Yeah, that soundtrack was killer. Absolutely killer. Oh, nice. Just scored the new Legacy Transformers kickback. Awesome.
Yeah, was it
I really
Steve
got it.
Wright or someone that did like the guitar solos? Because in the film The Crow, in it, like Brandon Lee's character just is playing like a guitar soloing.
Yeah. Well, there was a few of the scenes where they actually had Eric Draven playing, and they brought somebody in to play those scenes.
Yeah. Up on the, was it this one that he was up on the roof playing?
Yeah. Thrill Kill Colt had a banger in there too. They absolutely did. Queen of Damn had a good soundtrack. Prove me wrong. You know what? I don't remember the Queen of the Damn soundtrack extensively because I hated that movie.
It was all done by Jonathan Davis from Korn.
Was it?
But
Okay.
they had guest artists doing the actual soundtrack because Jonathan Davis did the voice for Lestat while he was singing in the movie.
Okay.
It had a great song by Disturbed.
Yeah, and see, I rarely at all remember the soundtrack for something that I don't like. And I hated Queen of the Damned because it did not follow the books at all. And I was actually one of those people that read the books first. I knew everything about those characters before the other movies had come out. So when Queen of the Damned came out, it's such a departure, not only from the books, but from the first movie, that I was like, man, I just don't see what some people see in it.
It was
Fight
just a way
Club
to
had
get
this
Aaliyah into a
soundtrack.
movie.
Yeah, basically, just to put another one out there. I mean, just listen to the Judgment Night soundtrack. Awesome soundtrack, man. I love that one. Yeah. And it's always funny that I always forget that too. I remember Judgment Night as being as one of the songs on the soundtrack, but I always forget it's the name of the movie too.
I'll have to check it out.
No, it's definitely a good movie. It's definitely good. Slayer and Ice-T, yeah. Cypress Hill and Pearl Jam. There was a whole bunch of those bands. I know Korn was on there too. I don't remember who they played. They had like Onyx and what was it? Onyx and maybe Helmet or something played together.
Oh, Helmet was in The Crow. They did one of the songs on that soundtrack. I never read the books for the Vampire series, the Interview with the Vampire series. They definitely worth reading.
Well, you know what? I wasn't sure at first. Let's put it this way. You know, I thought it was probably like a chick book. So when I first heard about it, I was like, I don't know. And then somebody gave me a free copy of one of her other books. And I read that. And I was like, this doesn't read half bad if the Interview ones read the same way. And I was like, I'll go get them and I'll check them out. And yeah, they read very well. Granted, there is a little bit of some weird stuff in there, you know. But it kind of is what it is. It doesn't really detract from the stories. It's just there.
Yeah, I'll have to check them out at some point.
I
got so much on the list right now; it's crazy.
Lasso of Truth said in a Jewish accent, "A first rule of Jewish Fight Club is when someone, you have to stop." You could double its box office. Yeah, unfortunately, though, you're also doubling the budget. And it doesn't really add anything to what they did in the theater. The theater was not good because if they're not at least tripling their budget, they consider it a flop. Because everybody's got to remember when you get those gross numbers, that's gross numbers that the studio is not getting all that money.
Was the story widely known at the release that Brandon Lee had died during the making of it?
I do know that they did a couple different versions of the film, and one of them has to Brandon Lee and everything. So I think it was fairly well known that he had passed during the making of this film.
Kind of surprised that didn't bump it up.
Yeah, well, some people did go see it just because, the did have a, I think it was a urban myth just to get the film, but there was like, oh yeah, you see the bit where Brandon Lee gets shot and that, and so people go watch it. But then
I remember that urban legend.
Yeah, and then some people just didn't watch it and that because they might thought it was a bit sort of gruesome because the Crow did have a quite a dark sort of storyline. It was sort of very on the dark side.
Yeah. Well, and they had to do a whole bunch of shooting with doubles after the incident, where you don't ever see Brandon Lee's face, or you don't see the Crow's face because they had to just use a body double just to try to get the movie done.
Yeah, and there's the bit in there where they use face patchwork where it's not as good as what they can do now because you can slightly tell. But for its time, it was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and they got lucky that he's in face paint for a good portion of the movie.
Yeah, because that was one of them where they made a number 2, didn't they? And I think they just got a dude who looked like Brandon Lee, just painted, and once they get painted up. Yeah,
they did 4 movies, I think. This was the only one I think was worth a crap.
It was either 4 or 5 because actually the Sci-Fi Channel had actually gotten the rights to start making extra movies like they were doing with the Lake Placid series. So they made a 1 or 2 more of the Crow shows. I remember the one I hated the most was that with that rotten son of a bitch Tito Ortiz. I can't stand that guy. He was like the worst mixed martial arts fighter that I'd ever seen. Talk so much shit and then would run from every damn fight. I hate that guy, and he was in one of those Crow movies. Just drove me nuts.
I think I saw that one. I know I saw City of Angels, and I think I saw Crow 3. I don't know after that.
Yeah, well, the one with Eddie, is it Swat Fairlawn? The dude who played...
he was in American History X and stuff.
Yeah.
And Terminator.
I forget
2.
Yeah, he was in one of them. Oh, it's perfect. It's like Sawyer's. I forget it's not Fairlawn, isn't it? But he looks like a child, and so he looks like a 13-year-old Crow. It's like what?
But the other Crow movies, it's a different character every time. Draven's only the first Crow, right? I mean, it's basically the Crow possesses somebody who has to go get something else taken care of back in life, right?
Yeah, I think apart from the second one, I think the second one was supposed to be a carry-on, but the stops it with the third one. They started making it different Crows and that. Where the one with Eddie Fairlawn,
yeah, that was the 2005 one, Wicked Prayer.
Yeah, so apparently there was 4 of them. The 5th one is actually the one I guess they're working on now, which technically I don't even say they could call it Crow 5 since they're talking about the rebooting the franchise. Yeah, so you had Wicked Prayer, you had Salvation, and you had City of Angels.
Yeah, and the one... Well, and there was a Crow Stairway to Heaven television series as well, it looks like, from 98 to 99.
And lovely Sherry, what is going on? Welcome. And I also see Good Stuff Comic Skater in the house as well. Welcome. I hope that you were doing well. Yeah, and Solar Warden, yeah, right. Helmet did the song with A House of Pain, and Onyx did with Biohazard. That's right. God, it's been so long since I heard that damn album. The movie to show that had Biggie, Bone Thugs and Harmony, and Tupac, among others.
Well, that was back when soundtracks weren't just themes. They actually had songs that tied into the movie in some way or were actually played in the movie in some way. Those were the days. It was like a greatest hits album for every movie that really had a good soundtrack going.
Yeah, Top Gun was one of them films that, like, yeah, real good soundtrack, did real well.
Cocktail actually had a pretty good soundtrack too.
Yeah, but I'm going to say Kenny Loggins and Berlin, they had like number ones from that album.
The Danger Zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Soul Assassin. I'm trying to remember which guy. I think that might have been the guy that played Skank. I think he had stopped acting for a while because he was worried that he was the one that had the gun. I do remember reading that. What's going on? Snowdub Cotton Connection is in-house. Good to see you, my friend. Snowdub is doing a lot of fun stuff over there, and he's got some new things going on with the Cotton Council coming up too.
Nice.
Crow City of Angels, 1996. Crow Salvation, 2000. The Crow Wicked Prayer, 2005. And the television series of Crow Stairway to Heaven, 88 to 99. Or 98 to 99.
Nelson saying it was Fun Boy.
Oh, was it Fun Boy? Okay.
Michael Massey.
Yes, it was Massey. That's right.
You know who was great in it though was the main villain, Michael Wincott, Top Dollar.
Yeah,
he's underappreciated. He was great in this, and he was fantastic in Robin Hood also. As
it wasn't just his dialogue, but it was his mannerisms, like everything he did. Just like even from the little sly like snicker he gave when he got shot off the table, like. Ooh, you know, everything he did was perfect in this movie.
He's always right on the verge of overacting, but never actually gets there. It's just good.
Yeah, he has got one of them faces, though, that does make a good sort of bad guy. I remember when he was in The Doors and that, and he's supposed to be like Jim Morrison's mate and that, but he's still got one of them faces where you think, oh, yeah, he's going to like... take over the he's going to start doing terrorists on the plane and hijack the plane or something, but he doesn't. But he has got one of them faces that looks like he's, even though he's probably a nice guy in real life, but some of them do have that face, don't they? That like looks like it's real sinister.
Well, and then you get his real gravelly voice, and it fits right in for playing the villain.
Yeah.
He had one of my favorite lines in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, though. And he's sitting there talking to the sheriff, and he's like, "But why a spoon, cousin?" And he looks at him, and he's like, "Because it hurts more, you twit."
Oh, no. Yeah, and say it so.
Yeah, I'm a racist. Because
What?
The... I am a racist because the best race. Well, listen, I said I am a racist because the best race ever is the 400 meters because it uses all of the.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Well, I'm an athlete, so I know about races. All I'm saying.
The 400 meter and nothing else. That's what Jens is saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
800's pointless, isn't it? You might as well just do the 400. Like, don't bother with it the first lap.
I hate the 400.
Because every race, you're only interested in the last 400 meters on any race. Apart from like under 400 meters. But they're crap. because they don't even use the track. What's the point in building a 400-meter track if you're only going to use 100 meters of it?
Yeah, it worked out for me. I won a state championship in the 100-meter. So that was back in the day.
Yeah, well, that's because you were 300 meters short.
Wait a minute. Now, there's no need to start mentioning short and bringing up Walton. He's not even here. What's going on, Captain Trek? I would say, my final thoughts on this movie is there were so many good elements in there. I like everything, the dark, gritty nature, like Jens is saying, like how dark this movie was. I liked people in there that I knew too, like seeing Ernie Hudson again and something else. I love seeing Ernie Hudson in that role as the officer too. Even the little girl, even though she's a bit annoying, her parts make a lot of sense and they fit in with the rest of the story. They don't feel like it's thrown in. It doesn't feel like it's forced in. Everything in this movie works. And even like Patrick Kelly being in it too. Man, I like Patrick Kelly. He's been in so many of my favorite movies, like from The Warriors, Commando. I mean, you just name it. He's been in so many different damn films, and I really do like that guy. He just plays that snivelly, whiny bad guy so well, and I think he works really good as T-Bird in this one. I really don't see any real detractions from this movie. I really can't even think of one thing that I did not like about it offhand.
Well, talking about the rape scene in that, the filmed it in that, and apparently it was so graphic in that they like didn't really show it in the film. They just showed sort of like flashbacks of it.
In the intro.
Yeah. When you sort of, because it's not when you see the like scene where Brandon Lee gets killed and his wife gets raped and murdered, I think, and that, and it like you see it sort of like in blurry flashback sort of things where like they filmed it, and I think there was going to show it, so like all of it, like to really show, this film is pretty sort of like going to be pretty uber violent and that. But it was so sort of like uber violent that I think that was like, oh no, we could like scare off people, if it's too gruesome. So they're like cut it back a bit, and by like not showing it fully and making it a bit blurry and all.
Yeah, so IMDb does have a bit of trivia on the Michael Massey thing. So he did stop acting for a year because he was traumatized by it. His next movie, he was actually in 7. And then apparently he died in 2016. He died never having watched The Crow.
I guess it was just too painful of a thought to actually watch that.
Yeah,
I could see that. And what's going on, Tim Possible? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. I hope you were doing well. Yeah,
I mean that's like actual remorse, unlike say an Alec Baldwin.
Alec. Oh, hold on a minute. Some algorithm is going apeshit right now because Jens admitted to being a racist. Good old Alec, right? I'll tell you what. Wasn't my fault. I'm telling you right now, it was Republican space monkeys that were sent down from aliens from outer space, and they're the ones that did it, and they're all being controlled by Splenda. I'm telling you, this is the truth. This is Alec Baldwin signing out.
It was that trigger, wasn't it, Alex? That dodgy trigger. That fucking...
dodgy trigger. Dodgy trigger with that hammer attached that has to be cocked back to fire it.
Yeah. And a production where they've got live ammo on the set for some reason because they're taking target practice in the evenings. No, one of the things I really loved about it, you guys were talking about how dark it was. I mean, it was, if RoboCop had been that dark and the city that way, I think I would have liked RoboCop even better because it almost felt like a spiritual successor to like a RoboCop type movie because in those movies you're kind of in a dystopian time too with crazy stuff going on within the city, and a corporation's running that city. In this one, you've just got the drug lords kind of running the city, and the whole place just feels like nobody actually wants to be there. But the visuals of it were great in this one.
Well, that's one thing, though. I would say it almost feels like a movie out of time. Because really, if you look at like the early 80s and even the late 70s into the early to mid to even late 80s, that's when you've seen a lot of these movies where it was the dystopian universe. Like that's when you get Mad Max. That's when you get Blade Runner. Just prior to that, in late 70s is when you got The Warriors, which was also another dystopian adventure. Later on in the 80s, you wound up getting Streets of Fire, another one that's a dystopian world. That was the theme going through most of the 80s, this dystopian universe where everything is kind of falling apart. And The Crow seems to fit right into those times, yet it wasn't made in the 80s. Granted, the guy who wrote the comics wrote them much earlier, and he's writing from that perspective of that 80s type of theme, I think, when he was writing his comics.
Yeah. Did anybody actually read the comics?
I did.
You did?
Oh yeah.
How closely tied was the movie to the comics?
It was vaguely tied to it. It wasn't exact. It was close in a lot of elements, but there was a lot of things that were different. And as far as the movies that followed after, they almost didn't follow the books at all.
You know, another one that was real dark like that came out a few years after The Crow was Dark City. Did you ever see that one?
I don't recall that one offhand.
That one's a great movie. It came out, I think, 98 or 99. And it's another one where it's almost like The Matrix ripped off Dark City. A lot of the ideas from The Matrix come from that movie, but it takes place in one city. And yeah, the whole filming is extremely dark like this as well. But if you haven't seen that one, you got to go check it out.
All right, Dark City.
Great twist ending on it.
All right, I'll have to put that down on my list. I mean, there's a few things that I still have to check out, and that'll be one of them.
Yeah, it did have Kiefer Sutherland. It had, who's the guy that was in A Knight's Tale? And is it Mads? Kind of got the wonky eye, but he's kind of the star of it. But
okay.
I
can't think of his name offhand, but Pale Rider says he's pretty close to believing lizard people are running the show.
Yeah.
I don't think he might be that far off. And Gap Stargate says, I don't know if you remember the TV show Voyagers, but John Eric Hexum supposedly accidentally shot himself with a blank from a gun.
It's happened before.
Yeah, well, them blanks, if close range, they can be like guns. Because they use a proper bullet, just not the tip. So, like, if there's anything, like with the Crow, if there's anything that's blocking it in the barrel, it gets shot out and propelled like a bullet. Because I think someone got shot with just the paper, because they use like a paper cap, but the was so close that the paper got shot into them.
It's crazy what those things do, especially if they're not being cleaned out properly. And that's why gun safety is so important when it's on the set. And that's why I don't care what anybody says. Since Baldwin was not only the actor, but he was the producer and he was the guy in charge on that set, it's totally and completely his fault, no matter what they try to claim. Yeah, Soul Assassin didn't know there was comics till the other day when Tommy showed them. Yeah, I wish I could find my number one.
Well, with blanks and all, like, there's a few sort of like films in that where it's usually action films in that where they'll use blanks in that, but because they're using it real close, they'll use the camera angle to look like they're shooting at them, but really they're shooting at the side of them. Because when you shoot it in close range with blanks, they can like propel crap out. And it's like, yeah.
Well, that's why most of these movies, they tell them never point the gun, even if it's got blanks in it, never point it directly at the actor. And it's supposed to be the camera angles that they're supposed to be working, so you can't really tell. And Nelson, the gentleman, said it was a drunk prop master didn't clean the shrapnel out of Fun Boys 44 properly before it was fired. And that was actually during the one of the scenes that I actually had in the clip. That's where he's talking about nailing him up to the cross.
Yeah. When he's supposed to shoot him through the hand, or
he shoots him through the hand, and then there's supposed to be another shot to the shoulder, and the last shot is to the stomach.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think I know what it. I know that there was the scene where he did get shot. On the table where there was like loads of people shooting at him. So it was one where there was a lot of blanks getting fired.
Yeah, that was the urban legend scene. That was the one that everybody said you could actually see him get shot.
Yeah. Right.
But that was just part of the urban legend. Yeah. William Hurt and Jennifer Connelly were also in Dark City. And so if you want to do a little tribute to William Hurt after his recent death, that would be a good one to go watch.
Everybody's talking about some of these other movies that they've seen. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that link, Soul Assassin, for Brahma Bull. Brahma Bull, where are you going to be later on? I mean, I know that we got a little while, but where are you going to be later today?
Well, rumor has it I might be on Yelling at Parked Cars again. We'll see. Over on Comics Division's channel a little bit later tonight. So I'm not sure if they've got a guest or if I'm coming on, but I've been told to be ready, I guess. So awesome. That could be fun. It was fun last week.
Yeah, man. I haven't had a chance to be on a stream of comics in quite some time. Guinea pigs are very dangerous critters, and everybody gets a little wary around us. But one other thing I want to mention, everybody, is don't forget about our good buddy Drew, Supreme Heretic. He's still got that fundraiser going to try to get the money up to take care of his mother's final expenses and all the other things that go along with it. There was a lot of bills that were behind that unfortunately his mother just couldn't take care of because she was constantly sick, and she never let Drew in on everything that was happening. So he's going to need some help, not only with her final expenses, but hopefully to be able to get everything situated in that house so he can get back on track. So don't forget about that. Please, if you have that link, share it out in the chat, share it out on social media, and let's get Drew the help that he needs. And let's just keep pushing this thing until we get him over the finish line.
Yep. He can use all the help we can give him, emotionally and financially. So if you know Drew, reach out to him. Let him know you're thinking of him.
Damn straight. So I got a little bit more that we're going to be talking about the Crow, but before we get to that, we're going to have what I like to call the toy break. Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome back for another toy break with our good pal, Cringer. Cringer is here for a bit of an older toy. Now, originally these toys came out in 1964 from the founder of the company that originally started off as an oil company, then got into gas, from Leon Hess. So 4 years after he founded his company in 1960, he created the first toy as a thank you to all the customers. And then in 1985, a reproduction of the first Hess truck came out, and this one was the Hess Truck Toy Bank. To actually still have this one sitting in its original box was something I was not prepared to find over my father's house. And I know a few of you may scream a little bit, yeah, but I took this sucker out of the box. It was brand new in the box, and the boxes back then were not sealed. So they were just closed up. So taking this out of the box is not changing the value of it at all. But as you can see, this thing is in perfect shape. And if I did have a D battery, which I just don't seem to have, I would be able to light this thing up, because underneath you put a D battery in there, and it has a light up feature for the front lights, and I think maybe the interior lights as well. It also has a retractable gas nozzle and hose sitting on the side. A very cool piece. And of course, right here at the top, there is a slot so you can put your coins in. Interesting piece from 1985. Hope you guys enjoyed this toy break. Oh man, I love doing those little toy breaks and just like pulling out a little quick toy that I can't really do like a full video on, but I could do a short one like that. Lasso of Truth, thank you for grabbing that and throwing that in the chat, guys. Please, if you can't donate, at least share this out there. Get more eyes on this for Drew. Would really appreciate what's going on. Freeze Peach Gaming is in the house. What's up, buddy? I see Gap Stargate has also put something out there for Drew. Thank you so much. Cringer, don't yell at your dad. Yeah, you know what? He did all the yelling the other day when I gave him medicine. He's been pretty quiet ever since. You guys remember the Hess trucks at all? Or is that something you've never seen?
Never seen it.
I don't remember that one exactly, but I remember when toys were like, you could get away with just like really crappy sort of like vehicles, but because it was a vehicle, kids would be like, oh yeah. Before Transformers changed everything, wasn't it? Because then it was like, oh no, this doesn't change into a robot, it's crap. And it had a D battery where usually they're always AAs, aren't they?
Yeah, the D battery isn't used for much anymore. I remember all the old Deere tractors and all those toys. I never saw the Hess truck, though. I think it's funny that back in the day that used to be like, hey, see that truck going down the street? You want a toy of that? Sure.
Well, it was a thing, believe it or not, especially around the holidays. Like people would just go out and purchase these little Hess trucks and give it to kids. And like I said, most of them had the light up features. It was like usually it was like the front lights, any kind of rear brake lights and stuff like that. Sometimes it even had lights around the side that would light up, and then sometimes the interior of the cab or the driver's portion of the vehicle would light up as well. They were interesting. They were neat. What's going on, CJH? Good to see you.
Yeah. I remember like having, when I was a kid and that, having like really crappy sort of like vehicles, but when you're sort of like 10 or what, I mean 10, when you're sort of like 5 or whatever, you don't care, do you? Because it's got 4 wheels and you can push it along the ground and that. And yeah, we're having lights on and that. Like, yeah, you must be fire trucks and that.
Well, right there, Soul Assassin. Yeah, that's another one. The metal Tonka trucks. They were huge.
Yeah.
Matchbox, Hot Wheels, like all those other companies that were making those little vehicles. I mean, they were big money. And what's going on? Superfan Adam Shawhands in the house with the Wiener Dog Clan. What up, buddy?
Micro Machines. You remember those commercials?
Machines? Yep.
The guy that talked at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
God, I always mess up pronounce his name, Michiato, or he does the voice of Blur in the Transformers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, same guy.
He had some voice skills.
Yeah, he did. CJH, free super chat because I'm broke. Aren't we all? Have you ever done any videos on R-rated movie toy adaptations like Alien, Terminator, etc., etc.? I have not yet. There are a few of the figures that I did bring back. I did a brief talk about one of the Alien Queen watches. I did that as a toy break on, it was either last week's show or the week before. But as far as doing like a whole talk about the toy lines, not yet. I know there were a few Terminator toys that I brought back from my father's, including a Commando figure as well. but I haven't done any of them yet. They will be coming up eventually, though. Yeah, most of them were. The only thing that got to them was rust. And Lasso of Truth, yeah, absolutely. Guys, please share the link out to Drew's Fun on social media. If you haven't seen it yet, scroll up in the chat or somebody can repost it again so people could see it. Let's get help out there for Drew. He lost his mother, just a little over a week and a half ago now. And he is in a desperate state, and he really could use everybody's help. And I know this community is great. I've watched this community pull together for a whole bunch of people, and I know if we keep sharing it out, Drew will be able to get the help that he needs and be able to give his mother the final resting that she deserves. Love Micro Machines. Hey, Miss Yard Darts.
And I think we got Drew's channel monetized finally, so
yeah,
come out tomorrow for Supreme Heretic too, and yeah, he can even have some super chats maybe.
Hell yeah. I just hope he really gets over this hump. I mean, there's just so many things coming down on him at once, and I talk to him as much as I can. I try to give him advice. Unfortunately, I could only give him so much advice because I didn't have to deal with it the way he's dealing with it. I had way too many things to do. I had too many things on my plate. I didn't even have time to even stop to think about all the stuff that he no doubt is sitting there thinking about.
Yeah.
And Soul Assassin, yeah. Kenner Aliens and Predators have been getting upgrades from NECA. They're awesome, but expensive on the second market. And I've had some issues with a couple of NECA figures that I got recently, and I just didn't expect it, and it just made me sick. I also seen that Kenner had actually, and this was about a year and a half ago, Kenner had re-released some of those original Alien and Predator figures because I'd seen them in a Walmart. They looked exactly like the ones that they released in, what was that, late 80s, early 90s? They looked exactly the same with the big giant alien queen and the little colonial marines and all that stuff. Really cool looking. Thank you, Lasso of Truth. Thank you. Guys, be sure to share that out there. Get Drew help. If you can't do it yourself, at least share it so somebody else will. Supreme Heretic. I'm not creative. Supreme Heretic. Put a D in the chat for Drew. Yeah, Drew is a good guy. My mic is barely holding together via duct tape. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I'll tell you what. You know what's better than duct tape, CJH? Gaffer's tape. Put some gaffer's tape on that, and it'll never come apart again. That stuff is better than Bondo. We once held a car mirror on about 3 years with a gaffer's tape.
I'll have to remember that next time the pool gets a hole in the side.
Telling you, this stuff is wonderful. But I want to get on to the next part of the Crow, and this is actually talking about the books. Now, unfortunately, when they first came out, they didn't have any toys available for this. And I know it was many years later, and I used to have one of them. McFarlane was doing what was called the Movie Maniac series of figures, and one of the ones he did was a Crow figure. I had it. Unfortunately, got stolen, so I don't have it anymore. But I do have one of the books, and if I could ever find my original Crow book, the very first one that was released, I'll do a separate video on that with the books and everything. But unfortunately, I could only find, I believe this was either the second or the third book. So we're going ahead and going to play a clip right now and see what you guys remember about that. But there was also something else included, and it was something that I did myself creatively because, well, that's what I did.
And today we have the mighty Rorschach. Rorschach is with us today as we are getting ready to delve in to a few of the merchandise items that were part of the Crow franchise. Of course, the books, we're going to have a little discussion about the one that I do have and a toy that was damn sure not off the racks. So when the movie first came out, of course, there were no toys available. So I had actually created this one for my brother, who was a huge Crow fan. I took a few different G.I. Joes, did a little bit of painting, and a little bit of part swapping out from a few different ones, created a blister pack the best I could for it, so it had some kind of display, painted it up with the crow and put Brandon Lee on it, and made this Eric Draven figure. Threw a few weapons in there that I could find, and I called it a day. I still think that this one is actually a fun little piece to still have after all these years, and it shows what you can do with just a little bit of creativity. And of course, it just wouldn't be a Crow discussion without discussing James O'Barr's The Crow series. Now, unfortunately, I can't find the first Crow book that came out. I do have Flesh and Blood. I forget which one this was. I can't remember if this was the second novel or the third novel. Either way, this one is actually really cool. I enjoyed the hell out of this one. It actually has a female protagonist, but that never happened. Glass ceiling. Yeah, get out of here. But this was a very interesting story. It was so good that the band I was in decided to do a song called Dead Time based on this comic. We actually took a few excerpts out of the comic book itself and put it into the song, and you could hear just a little bit of that song on the outro that I use on the end of every single one of my videos.
Once again, I wish I would have had some of the other figures. And I know somebody, oh God, who was it? Somebody said they have, there it is, Soul Assassin. Soul Assassin said that they have Diamond Select had done a Crow figure. Diamond Select usually makes some amazing looking toys too.
Yeah. I've seen like a few Crow. Well, when I say figures, they're more like ornaments, you know, where you can't really move them around a bit. But, you know, it had like...
Figurines. Figurines or statues, yeah.
And it was like, had like a crow and everything. It was like, I think it looked about 12 inches high from the picture I saw. But like, I'll look at some.
Freeze Peach, have a good one. I mean, you're probably already gone, but thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And what's going on? Awesome one. Good to see you. Yo, Tommy Persons. CJH, I'm going to leave this open to everybody else. I know you don't like reboots, but are you open to the new one if they do it right? They may or may not. Who knows? Brahma. You're muted.
Oh, what was that Diamond make?
Oops. Forgot to unmute after the video. I'd be open to it. I don't think the Crow is Marvel or DC. It's independent, right? So,
right.
I mean, you're not going to have that interference from either of those companies. So, and if it's more like the original, not like the sequels, sure, I'd love to see another good movie. I mean, we're not getting enough of those, so I'm not against it, but you're not going to capture the magic of the first one.
No, I don't think so. What do you think, Jens, about this reboot that they're talking about?
Yeah, well, if it's got Robert Pattinson in it, no. Although, like with the Batman, as I said, it'll be where Robert Pattinson, they'll have him in like the beginning bit where he's getting the shit beaten out with him because he'll have a right monkey face when he's seeing his wife getting raped and murdered, and then they'll just use a stunt dude as they paint him up. But yeah, nah, I don't think it. I just Brahma Bull said, and like they won't capture the of the original, so it'd be like the A-Team or something where even though it was good compared to the original, it just seemed a bit.
See, I'm actually of the mindset where this is the problem that I have with it. Now, if they said that they were going to do a continuation of The Crow as a franchise, I wouldn't have had a problem with that. But when they automatically put the words reboot in there, that's when I'm like, why? Why bother? That movie, number one, that movie really isn't that old that I think it really warrants a reboot, first off. And really, that movie is done perfectly as far as I'm concerned. I don't understand what the need to reboot the series is. I don't understand why they just can't tell another story. It's not like the story of The Crow has to end with one person. Obviously, they continued on. James O'Barr did that in his own books. So,
yeah, I mean, it wouldn't make it much difference if you called it a sequel because, I mean, you have a different Crow. So, I mean, I would just like to see a good movie, but no, it's not going to replace The Crow. I mean, even if they're doing a reboot to try to make a new series out of it, and I don't know if it's just because it's a new production company or something that's doing it that they feel they can't continue it. I'm not sure, but reboot's a bad word these days.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's always been a dirty word myself, but that's just me. Vinny Art, my brother from another mother. What's going on? Brandon Lee's version of Eric Draven is all you need. Make another character. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Hey, what was the make of the Crow? Diamond what?
Oh, the one that he was talking about was Diamond Select. Diamond
right.
Selects. CJH, the original wasn't truly finished, wasn't it? Because of the accident? No, you got to remember they shoot most of these films out of order. So usually the stunts and everything like that are usually done towards the end. So there was a few scenes that I think they just kind of put somebody else in the outfit or they hid his face. But yeah, no, it was pretty much done. There wasn't a lot left to the movie when that happened. So,
but like we were saying, they got real lucky that movie is as dark as it is and that he's in face paint, because any other type of movie, it would have been very hard to fit in a double there and try to act that one the rest of the way out.
Once again, CJ, my problem with reboots is just 9 times out of 10 they feel lazy. Like, I mean, why do you need to keep retelling the story? Like, if it was something from like 40, 50 years ago where the technology was so vastly different than today's, I could almost kind of see wanting to redo it, because you know what? No matter how much they try to preserve these films, these older films, you can only do so much. They're not going to be able to restore most of them to exactly they were when they first came out in the theater. So for something that old, I can kind of see a reboot to a certain degree. But for something that is what, 30 years old, not even? Is it really necessary?
Well, yeah, because if it made good, because it hadn't been for Brandon Lee getting shot on that, I reckon done like about 3 or 4, but like good ones with Brandon Lee. They wouldn't have done that one with Eddie Fairlawn. Oh. Terrible. Oh.
Hey, what's going on, Citizen 333? And yeah, Citizen 333 said, yeah, they shouldn't reboot The Crow. The original is so good. It's such a unique film. Go ahead, Jens.
Yeah, I reckon Brandon Lee wanted to come back as the Crow to finish off Eddie Fairlawn for the portrait he did in The Crow. Because it's going to ruin The Crow for people who, like with American Werewolf in London too, they'll see that and think, oh, I'm not even going to bother watching number 1.
Yeah, and the idea of rebooting things that are only 30 years old doesn't work all that well, but it's basically just because they have no creativity anymore. I mean, all they can do is dig up things and then torture it with whatever they're going to do to it now.
Yeah.
Hollywood is desperate for anything right now, and the lack of creativity in this generation of writers is amazing.
I'll tell you something at all. If they made it today, they probably would want a female Crow. They'd want like Brie Larson or someone.
Well, they did a female version of The Crow, but they had James O'Barr actually did it in that one book that I have, and it was actually a fairly well done story too. It can be done, But the problem is with today's standards, you know it's going to be a shit show.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say, they'll be fucking just remaking that with Brie Larson in it. Well, she's thinking now, isn't she? I think she's spoiled goods, as in no one really wants to touch her now.
No, that's not true. I heard Disney's going to hire her on. They're going to tell her to stop shaving, and she's going to play a Wookiee.
Those feet.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you can't tell me she is not a shaved Sasquatch. I don't believe it. Awesome One says reboot Walton.
Walton as a crow. Yeah, I can see it.
Well, I mean, the other thing that'll interest me if they do it is, I mean, goth and emo really aren't that much of a thing anymore. So what are they going to do? I mean, what's the aesthetic going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this worked because goths and emos were a thing at that time.
Yeah, and not soy ones neither. It was when like goths and emos like listen to real like emo and that music, but they still able to fight because they was hanging around in the 90s where you had to, because you was getting like called a lot of names.
Yep. The broody bunch.
Yeah. Good. The like had like loads of like crows at like fancy dress parties, weren't they, in the 90s? Because even South Park did that joke with Satan, where Satan's holds a party. But he tells everyone, don't get dressed up as a crow. There's like 5 guys dressed up as a crow at the end of the night.
Well, it was a great costume. Yeah, South Park had those emo characters for a little while too. There were like the 4 kids that go from goth to emo to, I think they all changed.
They started off with the goth kids.
Yeah.
And then they brought in the emo kids. Citizen what is up? I see Bone was in the house. Bone, what up, Bone? What about the soundtrack? The original? So yeah, we were talking about that earlier. It was great. Brie Larson, the Jedi Wookiee. And CJH, I actually did mention that it is kind of loosely faithful to the original comic. There's of course, like any comic book adaptation, there's almost always differences. And I've said this time and time again, the only thing that I've ever seen done, whether it was TV or movie, that was completely faithful or is close to being 100% faithful to the original comic book was the Max when it was on MTV's Oddities. That was the only thing that I think came exceptionally close to what the comic portrayed. Everything else, it's moderately close. I mean, if you even look at the original script version of Star Wars that George Lucas had hired somebody to write the novel of, because that was based on George's original scripts of The Adventures of Luke Skywalker, who was originally going to be called Starkiller. But even that is different than what George wound up putting in the film. So all these things are open to interpretation, even the original scripts. And what's going on? Slasher McSplitter, good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, the novelization's often different than what ends up being on screen.
Absolutely. Steampunk Crow. Is steampunk still a thing anymore, or is that dead?
Oh, there's probably a History Channel show on people dressing up with it.
Yeah, steampunk in it. It's supposed to be sort of like out of date.
I'm Not Created 22. Jack Link's Beef Jerky presents Messing with Brie Larson.
That's a good one. Those commercials were good. There's not many commercials that actually catch your attention anymore, but that one was good.
CJH, have no clue. Never watched it. Wasn't interested.
I didn't see it either. The second Hellboy was horrible. The first one was eh.
Oh, yeah. What was that? The Golden
The Golden Army or something like that.
Golden Army, yeah, something like that.
I didn't mind it, but
I fell asleep.
Yeah, I'm one of these people where if the action's pretty good in it, which like the Hellboy's actions was pretty good and decent in it, like yeah, I was like,
You were not wrong, CJH. Watchmen was fairly close.
Yeah.
It was fairly close to the original comic. I mean, there was a few things obviously they changed. There was quite a few scenes actually that they either omitted or changed, according to stuff what all the black
The Black Freighter.
Black Freighter.
The extended edition do a little bit of that though.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if you guys have seen this one on HBO Max. They actually did a complete retelling of the original Watchmen comics. So it's done comic book style with a little bit of movement. So it's like slightly animated, and they did the complete retelling of the original Watchmen, page for page, right down to everything.
And it's on HBO Max?
Yeah.
I'd go watch
did the
that.
comedian have his bondage mask on? Because they changed that in the film.
At one point they do touch on that too.
Yeah. Because I don't even know why he was wearing a bondage mask. If out, he'd wear a clown's mask because he's a comedian, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. You would think so.
Yeah, I didn't really get it. And I don't even know why he was wearing a mask, really, because he was like bit of a well-known character, wasn't he? And he didn't care, so...
I wouldn't worry about it, CJH. If they get offended, oh well. Yeah, I hear you. Absolutely, Castaway. And it's why I avoid a lot of stuff. There is so few things that I'm willing to go see. I'm not a huge Sonic fan either, but my daughter is, and so is my brother. But I'd be willing to take my brother out to go see Sonic since he likes it, just because my daughter was overly impressed with what they did. And it was one of the few movies that has come out recently that I can remember her being that excited about. So
yeah, I thought it was good. Sonic 1.
My kids are looking forward to it.
Sonic 2, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I might take my brother to see it. I'd imagine my daughter's going to go see it. If she can't, maybe I'll do something nice and I'll get tickets for her. But this girl needs to finish my guinea pig comic book. She's been working on it for months and I haven't seen anything new yet. I'm waiting. Where is it? Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. And as far as this new movie, as far as the reboot is concerned, I don't want to see a reboot. I just don't. I don't care how good the actor is. I really, at this point, I don't care how close they're going to come to the original comic book version either. I appreciate the version that we already have. And I think you kind of shitting on the very short legacy that Brandon Lee had created for himself by rebooting this franchise and eliminating him from it. I think it's a shit move.
I mean, technically, they could just call it The Crow with some subtitle and do it, and then it wouldn't matter.
Exactly. It's not cool.
If they did The Crow with some lung who did Shang-Chi, I reckon that'd be good. But if they did it with what's her name? Some McCarthy, that fat bird, then I think it'd be crap.
Well, they're talking about somebody named Skarsgård that's supposed to be playing.
One of the Skarsgårds?
Yeah.
The one who played Pennywise, or I don't know. There's like 4 of them.
I forget. It's a younger one. I'm sure somebody in the chat knows who it is. I would bank
probably the
on
one
it.
that played Pennywise in it.
Hey, release the Werepig cut. Yeah, why can't they reboot crappy movies instead? Yeah, it is. Vinny says it is the Pennywise one.
Okay. Is that Alexander, I think?
Yes. Yeah, that's it. I believe. I don't know. I mean, they're all starting to sound alike to me.
One of them was in Zoolander. He was one of the male models that gets burned up in the gasoline incident.
Yeah. The gasoline showers. Yeah. The gasoline shower fights. Well,
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I miss comedies.
I know you got to get going soon, Brahma.
Yes, sir. I got some stuff to do before later, so.
I know, and I'm actually a bit worn out. Today's actually been a pretty bad day for me. So usually I'll run these things for an hour and a half to 2 hours. I think I'm going to cut it short a little bit tonight. And guys, thank you so much for being here. Lasso Truth, CJH, Vinny, Art, my man, Chaos Hoy, Nelson the Gentleman, Awesome One, Soul Assassin, I'm Not Creative 22. Oh, God, who else? Bone was in the house. Gap Stargate, Solar Warden, Slasher McSplitter, Citizen 333. Thank you to every last one of you that come through tonight. Keely Chow, I know was Captain Trek, was also in the house earlier. And Freeze Peach, our boy Freeze Peach from over on Drew's channel every Tuesday. Thank you all for stopping by. I hope you had a little bit of fun talking about this Crow and reminiscing a little bit. I would go longer, but like I said, I'm exhausted. Brahma has somewhere to go, and I would like to send you guys over early to go see Sporking for a change, because usually we kind of run over each other's streams. So we're going to give him a break tonight, and we're going to let him go ahead. You guys run over there, give him a little bit of love. Let him know that the guinea pig sent you with the hashtag guinea pig raid. So, Brahma Bull, you got center stage, and you could talk about you.
You know me, but I don't remember smelling you before. Who are you, and where do you come from?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a fun night. Crow's one of my favorites from back in the day, so I'm glad somebody's paying attention to it still. Go check out that Dark City. I think you'll like it. But I'm Brahma Bull. That is also the name of my channel, and got a few videos out there. You can catch me. I think I'll be on Yelling at Park Cars tonight. You can definitely catch me tomorrow on Supreme Heretics United Resistance. And then I'm starting up my own streams on Wednesday, trying to nail down a time to not step all over, not get stepped all over by some of the guys that I like watching on Wednesday night, but we'll get that figured out sooner or later. But thank you, chat. You guys have been great. Thank you guys on the panel. It's been fun. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for coming through, Brahma. I appreciate it, man. It was awesome discussion. I love talking about these old school things. And anytime we have a topic that you want to come on and talk about, you are more than willing to just jump right on in, man.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, thank you. And, of course, we got Jens. Go ahead, Jens. Tell them what you got coming up, my friend.
Right. Well, I don't really know, because I'm in a debate whether to do a video on sort of like a review-ish on the first episode of Moon Knight, or talk about Henry Cavill getting replaced with Superman by Supergirl in The Flash. So, yeah, could be one of them two. Both subjects is like, I think I'll probably do the Moon Knight one, because I'm sick and tired of like telling everyone about like fucking Superman getting like took out for feminists. But anyway, yeah. And then probably have a stream tomorrow, and then Wednesday I do the Bond, which it will be Octopussy, and I got a Twitter at 27A Pedersen.
Awesome. Thank you, Jens, for being here every single week and having the fun discussions and putting up with my ridiculous nonsense. Because you know you love it. You know you love it.
Yeah. You're
what?
Yeah.
What? I can't help it. Thank you again, everybody. Be sure to go over and stop over and show Sporking News a little bit of love with that hashtag guinea pig swarm. Let them know that we are showing a little bit of love, and we will catch you next time, guys. Remember, never let anybody tell you what you can and can't say, what you should or should not watch, because your silence gives consent.